Today's lead story, a shock new attack on Prince Harry from a leading royal insider. I've got more on this bombshell development. Meanwhile, is it just me, or has the world gone completely mad? Brave members of the public remove a violent naked man from a train packed with women and young families, but now these heroes face arrest. I've got the inside story. But first, Prince Harry has been blasted by one of the women closest to the late Queen Elizabeth II, Elisa Anderson. Now, Elisa Anderson, she knows her onions. She is one of the most revered figures within royal circles. She served as the Queen's press secretary for 12 years, one of the most important jobs within the firm. She was the monarch's mouthpiece. So she was part of that inner circle. She knew the Queen, she knew Charles, and she knew Harry. Well, she's been on TV and she has attacked Harry for always playing the victim card and moaning about his so-called terrible life. So Elisa Anderson was knitted into the fabric of the royal family for over a decade, and the Queen was personally very fond of her as well. And of course, the Queen always took very seriously her messaging and how she and her family appeared, not just in the media, but to the wider public. The Queen was discreet, she was professional, she was humble, she had a deep sense of duty, and she wanted her press secretary to embody those values. And the person that she entrusted to do that was Elisa Anderson. So they were together for over a decade. Significantly, Elisa Anderson didn't just serve the Queen for over a decade. She worked closely with Harry, crucially, before he met Meghan Markle, when he was a completely different human being. So she knows him well. Elisa Anderson knows the old Harry, not Harry 2.0, the world's least happy millionaire. So she's been on TV and she's not happy. She participated in a documentary on Channel 5 here in the UK. And she's been discussing what she calls his difficult 2025. Well, he's had the worst year. Do you remember when the Queen referred to her annus horribilis? Well, Harry's had an annus horribilis times 100. Now, Anderson remembers the old Harry, and she described Harry as warm, engaging, and kind. Now, could anyone sensibly and without a smirk on their face or a twinkle in their eye describe Harry in those glowing terms today? Could anybody, let me know in the comments, describe Harry as warm, engaging, and kind? He's quite the opposite of all of those things, but that was before that was the old Harry. And she believes that he needs to drop his victim narrative. She's absolutely right. I think it, you think it, and now we have someone that's very close to royal circles and someone that was the entrusted mouthpiece of Queen Elizabeth, who is saying what we've been saying all along. It demonstrates that the royal establishment have had enough of Harry and his pity party. They've had enough of the books and the podcasts and the documentaries. They're sick of it. We're all sick of it. And it's very significant for someone of this authority to speak out. I mean, this is somebody that would be on first name terms with Harry, a close confidant, previously very friendly, and she used to like Harry, but she doesn't like Harry 2.0. And who does? Even Harry doesn't like Harry 2.0, but he's been changed, and we know why he's been changed, because he married somebody who refers to him. She doesn't even use his full name. She just says, my husband. And she's destroyed this guy. And interestingly, Elisa Anderson would agree with that. So she went on TV. She said, Harry, she actually spoke directly to Harry, hoping that he would watch. And no doubt he does watch these documentaries because, first of all, he hasn't got a job. He's got time on his hands. And he's completely self-obsessed like his wife. My husband. So she eyeballed the camera and she said, stop being the victim, Harry. Become the hero of the story. Start shaping your own future. People are growing tired of hearing that the world is against you and that your life is so awful. I mean, isn't it wonderful to hear these truth bombs from someone with genuine authority? And it's interesting because you could argue that as somebody that represented the Queen publicly for over a decade, that she almost speaks for the Queen now. I think that if you've done 10 years with Elizabeth, and sadly Elizabeth has passed, I think you are the unofficial spokesperson that you can channel Elizabeth's feelings. And we know, of course, that Elizabeth wasn't happy with the union. She didn't think that Meghan loved Harry. Well, I think given how terribly Harry's life has played out since they got married, that's demonstrably true. And it was Lady Elizabeth Arden, who was the Queen's cousin and close confidant, number one human being in the world. She revealed those things in her diaries, courtesy of Sally Bedell Smith in her brilliant Substack column. Well, now we've got more truth bombs from another Elizabethan, if you like, an insider within the court of Queen Elizabeth, who's taking Harry down and taking him down to Chinatown. And she's absolutely right. People are sick of the pity party. Stop being the victim. Become the hero of the story. Start shaping your own future. People are growing tired of hearing that the world is against you and that your life is so awful. If only there was someone at the palace that spoke to him like that. If only Charles had spoken to him like that. I mean, we do know that William would speak to him like that in between expletives, because what William would say to Harry would not be broadcastable on a family show, because the Mark Dolan show is a clean show. It's family friendly. Get the kids in, right? Show them this program. They might learn something. Get the kids in. They might learn something. So I'm massively impressed by this intervention from this Elizabeth insider. She also said that Harry is too impulsive and has been unwise in revealing private family matters, including King Charles's health. Well, it has been a litany, hasn't it, of embarrassments and embellishments, lies, slander, libel. I mean, the man's been on an absolute collision course, but you've got these figures now who are calling him out. She goes on to say, trust is essential in every walk of life. If you can't trust your own family, who can you trust? She believes that both King Charles and Prince William worry that welcoming Harry back into the royal fold could risk further leaks of confidential information. She's absolutely right about that. Because if Harry hangs out with William and Charles, and if Charles doesn't pass him the salt cellar, or forgets to say good morning, or passes him by in his Range Rover in Sandringham without waving, right? This will be Harry being the victim all over again. And it will all go into another documentary, another Netflix series, and another book, and it will be Spare 2, which will be the hideous afterbirth of the initial volume. So any reconciliation between Harry and Charles, or Harry and William, is just material for a man who has no story to tell. So she's absolutely right. I mean, what she's saying there, if you read between the lines, she's being discreet because she understands how the royals work. But she said, if you can't trust your own family, who can you trust? And William and Charles would worry that welcoming Harry back could risk further leaks of confidential information. I mean, she is saying that Charles and William don't trust Harry as far as they could throw him, which, by the way, is not very far these days because he's so overweight. Harry has turned into such a porker. He's an absolute lard arse now. He's a unit, isn't he? Why? Because comfort eating. Because he's not happy. He just sits there in that Montecito mansion, Montecito, with the 16 bathrooms, gobbling up the Wendy burger because Meghan admitted that she can't be bothered to cook. She's quite lazy and she gets a lot of takeouts. And it's my understanding and the understanding of the Mark Dolan show that Harry's favourite restaurant is the Wendy burger. So he sits there, poor Prince Harry with my terrible life, chowing down hundreds upon hundreds of Wendy burgers, with my favourite dish being the Baconator, rinsed down with a couple of Meghan's flour sprinkles. A word on those flour sprinkles, by the way, from Meghan's Netflix TV series, Flour Sprinkles. Let me tell you, that I believe that they're toxic, hallucinogenic, and people aren't supposed to eat flowers, except for courgettes and a couple of other items. So, this show on Channel 5 was explosive. It was called Prince Harry, My Terrible Year. And I've got bad news for you. It's only August. We got months of this to come. I think his year's going to get worse. Harry does not want to reconcile with his family, but that is his ego as a stumbling block. This is psychotherapist Emma Reed, who was also on this excellent documentary, Emma Reed Turrell, who argued that reconciliation is possible, but it requires accountability, something that Harry is an absolute stranger to. But I've got another massive bombshell in relation to Harry and his disloyal wife, Meghan, in just a moment, because we had Megxit, where Harry and Meghan left the United Kingdom, went to America. Well, it seems that Meghan has had her own Megxit from Harry. More on that after a brief word from some good friends of ours, the sponsors of the Mark Dolan Show. Are you sick of biased news? Well, so am I. And that's why every morning, with my big cup of decaf in my Father's Day mug that I actually bought for myself, I read Ground News. It shows how stories are covered differently by the left, the right, and the centre. Take this one, for example, President Donald Trump's tariff crusade. Some outlets say that he's mad and is wrecking the economy. Others say that he's standing up for American jobs and will triumph. Well, Ground News shows both sides and lets you decide, because it turns out you've got a brain! Who knew? So try Ground News. Go to ground.news/Dolan or click the link below. You will get a 40% off discount from the Vantage plan. 40% off for the plan that I use for unlimited access. It is a game-changing way to consume the news. And more importantly, it will make you sound very clever at dinner parties. Ground News is subscriber funded. No billionaire overlords pulling the strings. Just the unvarnished truth from every angle. What's not to like? That is ground.news/Dolan. I'll drink to that. So we had Megxit. Harry and Meghan left the United Kingdom, gave up their royal duties. Well, I've got a big new development. And what we've effectively seen in the last few days is Meghan's own Megxit away from Harry. Meghan wants out. She's out. And the latest proof of that is that she has been deafeningly silent about her husband, Harry, the H-bomb. My husband. So Meghan, who lives on social media, including putting pictures of Archie and Lily on there, because she's the only celebrity in the world that actually paps her own kids, right? Pap means paparazzi, when these rather unscrupulous freelance photographers go and take pictures of famous people. Well, Meghan does it for them. She does it for the industry. She takes pictures of Archie and Lily, puts them on the internet. She paps her own kids. Papa, don't preach. I'm in trouble deep. Papa, don't preach. I'm in trouble deep. And I made up my mind. I'm keeping my baby. I'm going to keep my baby. Yeah. Ooh. Well, Meghan's not going to keep Harry because Meghan wants out. She's done. Proof of which is her deafening silence in Harry's annus horribilis. So she lives on social media. She paps the kids and she sends herself birthday good wishes. There was one friend who described Meghan on her birthday as champagne in human form. What's wrong with these people? Well, I think, and these are Meghan's friends, right? I think they're either under her spell, which Harry certainly has been, which would explain for his terribly ill-advised decisions in the last few years, including marrying Meghan. But the friends, why do they go online and praise Meghan so slavishly? Either that they're under the spell, she's been love bombing them. You see, love bombing is not real love. Love bombing is the demonstration of the heightened demonstration of love and affection for the end desire, the end goal of controlling someone and ultimately belittling them, abusing them and destroying them. Shall I get off the fence? That's what love bombing is. Love bombing is a technique by controlling narcissistic and abusive people to lull you into a full sense of security before destroying your life, before taking you down to Chinatown is where you get taken by abusive, narcissistic people. So it's fake. It's acting. Narcissists have a shell, they have a mask, they have a persona. It's not real, but it's convincing, especially if it's a trained actress. My husband. So either she has manipulated and love bombed her friends into thinking that she's a lovely person to the extent that they would call her champagne in human form, or they're afraid of her, and I think it's both. I think Meghan's friends are under the illusion that she's an amazing person with her rather scary, swirly-whirly snake eyes from the film. You remember that snake in the film, The Jungle Book? There's a slithering snake, and it casts a spell on people with its forked tongue. It goes... Just realize how hard it is to impersonate a snake. We're back to the flower sprinkles. Papa, don't preach. I'm in trouble deep, and I made up my mind. I'm keeping my baby. She's not going to keep Harry. So the friends are half in awe of her because of the love bombing, which isn't real. And I think they're afraid of her too, because she's a terrifying person. You've seen what happens when she turns on you. With her lovely friend that appeared on the With Love Meghan show on Netflix, who was a very tall, beautiful Argentinian woman. And she walks into frame, it walks into shot. Meghan looks at her, Meghan being this tiny little troll-like character, an extra from Lord of the Rings, including the hairy feet, I'm told. And she looks up at her best mate, supposedly best mate, and goes, "You're so tall. You're so tall. You're so tall. And I don't like it. I don't like how tall you are. It threatens me and intimidates me and makes me feel small." Human champagne. Meghan is champagne in human form. Let me correct you. She is bleach in human form is what she is. She's not champagne in human form. She's bleach in human form. In union form. So it's outrageous, but she's been so silent on Harry. And this has been his week to forget and his year to forget. So he's been losing court cases, right? He's on the hook at the moment for $3 million in lost court cases, which is a massive hole in their finances, right? That's a big chunk of the earnings from Spare. Meanwhile, the TV work has dried up. No one wants documentaries from Harry. There are no podcasts or speaking engagements. The guy has no social media. Even if he wants to talk to the world, he's got to do it through Meghan because she's all about control. And now he's lost Sentebale, which is the charity that he founded in memory of his mother, Diana, the Princess of Wales. And all she can do is go online when this is a terrible week and a terrible year for Harry. She does one post about herself, blowing out the candles on a beautiful 24 hours and thanking my husband, friends and family for making it so special. Harry doesn't even get a name check. He's just my husband. She goes, "To those of you I don't know, but who send love every day, thank you so much. Please know I feel it and appreciate it." Who are these mysterious strangers sending their love to Meghan? They don't exist. It's imaginary, like the Loch Ness Monster or the Yeti. Bigfoot. It ain't happening, folks. So she puts all of that out, including using her own company to praise her about some kind of inspirational figure. Not a squeak about Harry. No public support. She doesn't go with him to New York when he makes a speech, even though he was her bag carrier when she went to New York. She doesn't go with him to Las Vegas, which is where men go to gamble, drink, take illegal substances, and sleep with women that aren't their wife. And she lets him go to Vegas on his own. Why? Because she doesn't care. She'll say to the easy women of Nevada, Help yourselves. I could care less. He's all yours. Knock yourself out with the ginger whinger. No self-respecting woman should allow her husband to go to Vegas alone. I went with cameraman John, so I was safe. He's like a ring of steel. Probably the wrong expression, but you get my drift. She didn't go to China when he was flogging his environmentally friendly travel company. She didn't come to him when he visited the United Kingdom for the death of his uncle by marriage. She's ditched him. She's out. And now he's having the worst week of his life. And there is no support from Meghan, no public support. This is a woman who lives her life in the public sphere. She's not a private person. She's probably never had a private thought. She's wanted to be a star since she was 0. And her incredible father, Thomas Markle Sr., made it happen by paying $500,000 for her degree at Northwestern and for getting her into Hollywood, into the TV industry, because he was a famous lighting director from the world of TV. And this guy, Thomas Markle, do you know about his circumstances? She's going to get rid of Harry, okay? She's already giving him the silent treatment, the week to forget of his life. He's having a horrible time. And what does she do? She's ghosting him. She's ghosting her own husband. What she should do is send a picture of her and Harry together on social media, arm in arm, kissing, just saying, hey, putting it out there for anyone curious. I love my husband so much and I'm so proud of him. Right? That's what a normal person would do. You know your husband's under pressure. We see it in politics. You know when you got the husband is caught up in some scandal, but the wife stands by him. Stand by your man. That's what you do. That's what a woman does. It's what a man does. It's called marriage. But Meghan has reneged on the marriage contract by not supporting Harry, turning him against his family, the monarchy, and his country of birth, and now being silent as he suffers alone, like the lonely boy that he still is, because he never grew up from the moment that he buried, God rest her soul, his mother, frozen in time, deep trauma. I agree with you. It's not an excuse. I agree with you about that. But he's a lost child. And he thought he'd found a mother figure in Meghan, when it turned out that really she was just one mother, rather than a mother figure. She was one mother instead. Mamma mia, here we go again. My. Did I ever let you go? You know, when cameraman John and I were in the United States, we had ABBA's greatest hits on. I mean, that must be ABBA, right? Have they had the most hits of any band? Because we counted about 25 hits from the ABBA greatest hits. They're very good. It was complicated, wasn't it? Two beautiful Swedish women who married two beautiful Swedish men. The four of them married each other. It was very, it was very symmetrical, wasn't it? You got one guy marries one woman, the other guy marries the other. They were all gorgeous. They were fabulous people. I mean, the girls' voices and the boys that wrote those songs, ABBA, unbelievable. They were so big in the 70s. And you know, they got a lot of flack at home in Sweden. The Swedes did not originally like ABBA and thought it was cheap, horrible, synthesized, disposable pop. Well, how wrong they are, because we're still singing those songs to this day. Thank you for the music, the songs I'm singing. Thanks for all the joy you're bringing. Who could live without it? I ask in all honesty, what would life be without a boy, not a friend, nor are we? Oh, I say, thank you for the music, for giving it to me. I think I've got a slight cold coming on, by the way. There's a little scratch in the throat. I think you'll agree. So anyhow, let's get back on the road because I will never be voiceless when I've got things to tell you and I've got so many stories to get through. She has gaslit him and she's ignored him and she has ignored the marriage contract by not supporting him publicly at this time when he could do with some support. Throw me a bone, Megan. That's what Harry's saying, but he gets nothing. He gets crumbs. And it's very sad and it's very shocking and it doesn't end well. Meghan wants out. Proof of that, by the way, look at how she treated her father, Thomas Markle Sr., who she didn't allow to come to the wedding. Yes, he was ill, but he could have been there in a blinking hospital bed, couldn't he? They could have wheeled him in on ICU and with a, respirator on his face and connected to a drip. Like I said before, if my sons, who for their protection and privacy, I call them Elton and Bernie, when they get married, I could be a hologram and I would still be there. All right. I would appear I might go as a ghost. If I'm not around, I will appear as a ghost in my morning suit going, hello, boys. So he didn't go to the wedding. He should have been there. And he now lives in the Philippines, right? The Philippines, which is a very beautiful country with great people. I've got a lot of viewers in the Philippines. Did you know that? I think it's it's in the top 10 territories of the Mark Dolan show. And the Philippines is a great place. But you'll agree, my Filipinos friends, that it's got poverty in it, the Philippines. A third of the population are below the poverty line. And one of those people, I suspect, is poor old Thomas Markle, who lives in a high-rise apartment block, which I doubt is air-conditioned because he's so broke. I can't imagine that the building is structurally sound. Probably it was constructed off the back of, corrupt builders and dodgy contracts with local officials. So he's in a wobbly building that's on the verge of falling apart with the ceiling collapsing onto him in the dead of night as he sweats his knackers off in an unair-conditioned, structurally unsound building, watching old VCR copies of Suits just so he can have some memories of his daughter. And if that's not bad enough, according to reports seen by the Mark Dolan show, this high-rise that he's in, unair-conditioned, corruptly built, no building standards, building control, forget it. The thing's wobbly like a jelly. And it overlooks a 7-lane highway. So this guy, Thomas Markle, probably barely gets a wink of sleep. It's not right. But that's Meghan. She's ghosting Harry. Then she's going to gaslight him. Then she's going to dump him because she's done it before and she will do it again. Now, I've got a shocking development for you. Commuters who physically intervened after a man exposed himself on a busy London Underground train now face arrest by the police. This is according to the Daily Mail, who are great for these crime exclusives. Now, this story strikes me as a global one. This affects anyone in Canada, the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, France, you name it. Why do we now tolerate crime? Why is it okay to break the law? And why do you go after the people who are either the victims or the ones trying to stop the criminals in their tracks? I've heard so many stories, by the way. People have had phones stolen or indeed a car with a tracking device on it. And they've worked out where the car or the phone or the computer is. They can see on their computer where the stolen item is. They go to the police and go, hey, my Range Rover is in 37 Acacia Avenue because the tracker tells me so. And the police say, don't go there. And there's nothing more we can do. It's just, when did the police stop policing? But now the British Transport Police, right? This is a violent man that was on a train. And this was during the day. And he's taken his trousers down. He's exposed his full naked body, front and back, on a train with children and women and young families. And it was in the middle of the day. British Transport Police say that this man was assaulted. Witnesses have been requested. Did you see what happened? We've seen the footage. This was a dangerous man who was wearing no clothes on a train packed with kids. And he was removed from the train by brave citizens. And now detectives want to take these brave citizens and take them down to Chinatown. Make it make sense. Not only was it public indecency, and he should have been dragged off the train just for the indecency and the nudity, but not that, just that. He had his, allegedly had his belt and was waving that around as a weapon. He was violent. He was aggressive. He was a strong person. And it took several brave people to restrain him. And that is what good citizenship looks like. But is it any wonder why our society is crumbling when people that do the right thing, the Good Samaritans, then face arrest whilst the alleged perpetrator who's committed the most egregious crime, which is public indecency and alleged violence, walks free and is cast as the victim? It's like Harry, isn't it? Harry and Meghan. Who's the victim here, Harry? Because it ain't you, baby. So the problem you've got, and is it any wonder why our society is crumbling? Because next time a member of the public tries to or considers stepping in if a crime is happening, let's say that, a loved one of yours, your elderly mother is being attacked on a train. Perhaps, the people sitting there will think, well, I'm not going to get involved with this granny being attacked because I'll get arrested or something. Why should I bother? So we have a society that punishes people who uphold the law and who tried to keep standards as they were back in the day. And they're going to think twice about stepping in, thinking, do I need this? I might lose my job. I might go to jail. I might get sued. I'll just look at my phone and I'll fold my arms, pretend it's not happening. We are so lucky to have brave citizens who do step in if someone's breaking the law in the street, in a venue, on public transport. But the message from the authorities is a great disincentive to this public spirit. And all it means is a sadder, less engaged society in which people will turn the other cheek and look the other way when a crime is being committed. So really, really shocked about that story, and it upsets me. Britain's gone mad, but again, I think it's the same everywhere. We've got another story, right? There's a lovely guy called Rob Davies. He's 61, and he runs a vintage shop. He sells old books and records and old clothes and things like that. It's a quirky little shop. The guy's not making much of a profit. This guy's not getting rich from running his little shop, which is called Run Ragged, which is a great name for a retro clothing store. This is in Wales. And he was so sick of shoplifters. And you imagine how tight the guy's profit margins are. And he's losing hundreds of dollars a week from shoplifters. So what he had to do is he had to actually place his items that he was selling under lock and key because they were being stolen. So he put a note on the cabinet, right, with certain items locked away. And the note said, due to scumbag shoplifting, please ask for assistance to open the cabinets, right? It's the right thing to do. I mean, I think you'll agree that shoplifters are scumbags, because be clear, this is not a poverty thing, because there are plenty of poor people. The vast majority of poor people do not break the law and they don't shoplift. And shoplifting, in fact, there are middle-class shoplifters. And a big part of shoplifting these days is the drug trade. And you've got drug dealers, and they'll steal all sorts of things. And then it goes, they sell stuff to people for, a small amount of money. And it's part of an industry. So what a slander on the poor to just say, oh, shoplifting is because you're poor. No, that's an insult to many people who struggle to make ends meet, but don't ever break the law and don't shoplift, because they might be poor, but they have dignity. How many of you, let me know in the comments, were poor in your childhood, or your parents were poor? Did they steal from anyone? I bet they did not. So this guy who has the shop Run Ragged, he puts a note on the cabinet and he says, due to scumbags shoplifting, Please ask for assistance to open the cabinets. Well, this guy gets a visit from two police officers who don't have anything better to do, even though the conviction rate for burglary in the United Kingdom is less than 2%. This is basically, you're allowed to burgle now. That is, it's been legalized, but the conviction rate is 2%. So two officers turn up, right, ignoring all the real crime going on in Wales and elsewhere. And they appeared following a complaint. And was this a complaint from an offended shoplifter? I mean, do we care about the feelings of a shoplifter? I don't. I want the shoplifter to feel the long arm of the law. So two cops turn up, warning him that the wording is provocative and offensive, and he should take the sign down. I mean, this is modern policing. There's only one word for it. It's woke policing, isn't it? The idea that we're worried about the feelings of criminals. Did you know in Britain also? You know, I think it was years ago. I was investigating putting some protection around the fences of my garden. You know, some like barbed wire or something. And I was advised by my builder not to, because if a burglar injured his or herself in making contact with that barbed wire, they could sue you. The burglar could sue you for getting hurt, trying to break into your house, make it make sense. And now this guy who calls shoplifters scumbags, which they are, he gets a visit from the cops and he's in trouble. Well, he says he won't back down, and I blinking hope that he doesn't. And I will tell you why shoplifting is such an issue. Because it represents a fraying of the social contract. The idea that as citizens, we will basically, apart from, you know, maybe you do 35 in a 30 road from time to time, but essentially we will pursue and participate in society's rules, and we won't break the law. That's the logic, isn't it? That is the logical example of a functioning society. And that's why antisocial behavior and things like shoplifting just erode the idea of a community and of a society. And I think there's got to be a zero tolerance attitude towards it. So in my local supermarket, the steak is now in plastic boxes, which are locked. And I've even seen a supermarket not far from here where the instant coffee is in a plastic box and it's locked. If you have to lock away instant coffee or shampoo or tea bags, you don't have a functioning society. This is a society that's falling apart if you have to lock away instant coffee, even like really rubbish coffee like Nescafe. So that's it. And that's why I think we should have zero tolerance, and then you should be allowed to call shoplifters scumbags, because they are. Another shop, by the way, another store got in trouble for publishing photographs of the shoplifters captured on CCTV. And the police said this is a data breach. Who cares about the data breach? They breached their own data by stealing from that store. I think that public humiliation of shoplifters is a good thing. We should see their faces in the window of the store so they can be shamed, because also very often, by the way, it's only a handful of people in the area that commit most of the crime. In the UK, there have been examples of criminal families, and when they all get locked up and when they're all in the slammer, crime just drops in the area by like 90%. Anyway, the world's gone mad. Shoplifters are scumbags, and we should stop them breaking the law, and we should live in a society where you don't have to lock your back door. We should live in a society where I've got pictures of central London in the 1920s, and people would lean their bicycle on the curb using the pedal, and they would go into a store and come back, the bicycle would still be there. And you had poor people then. You had more poverty then. You had less of a welfare state. And yet, people followed the social contract, and it's now sadly falling apart. But I'll be calling it out whenever I can. Folks, I cannot wait for the next video, which will be tomorrow. More royal and celebrity truth bombs and a bit of common sense as well. Please like and subscribe if you can. Hit the notification bell. Yesterday's video got held up by YouTube. It got stuck in the system. So if you hit the notification bell, it means that you'll be alerted when the video is live. Can't wait to see you tomorrow for more fun and games. Bye for now.